Hey everybody, this your girl Cece with WIB Magazine, and I have my co-host Mickey Monday on the line with us. Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. We have a special guest, award-winning actress, producer, Reece Odum. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well, thanks. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yes, thanks for being here today. But I have a question for you. I've been watching you lately doing the Piece of a Reese.
hmm
Tell me about Piece of a Reese. Is it just an IG series or?
Yeah, A Piece of Reese is just a show centered around people being able to. People always want me to be less private, like in the lifestyle that I've chosen. Of course, there are parts of my life that are never going to be private, but I've just taken this platform to be able to introduce people to people that I know that are part of my circle, which is a part of my life, of course, and share their inspirational stories and give people some information about whatever it is that they do that can maybe get them to a space of if that's something they're interested in or something they wanted to know about, they can have that and learn a little bit about our relationship at the same time. So it's just a fun show, but it's intended to inform people, inspire people, and impact people in a positive way during this negative time.
Okay. I know I done tuned into a couple of your lives. So I was like, especially when you interviewed your nephew. I was like,
Yeah,
that was really dope.
thank
He
you.
does a lot
Yeah,
of
he's
things.
one of those, inspirations out there because it's of course not even knowing that what he does and what he's passionate about and what he's written about would be something that's super impactful during what it is that we're going through with the racial tension that is going on and the racial tension that's been thrust to the forefront, if you will, because his song that I was highlighting actually speaks to that, like what his life and what life looks like on this side of it versus what people want to see. Like it's a whole nother world to them, but he wants to help change it. And if you listen to the song, it's really dope. It's something he wrote along with his mentor. And I'm just super proud of him. So I had to highlight him as the first guest.
Yes, and congrats to him. Congrats.
Yay.
Nice.
Go ahead, Mickey
So,
Monday.
just kind of like going into a bit of your background. Um, what would you say is the biggest challenge for you when preparing for a role?
The biggest challenge whenever I prepare for a role,
Hmm.
um, well, it just depends on what type of role it is. A lot of times when I've done certain films, my biggest obstacle has been allowing myself to fully embody certain roles because of the level of emotion that has to go into certain roles that I've been chosen for. So once I do allow myself to go there, that's a feat. But then coming out of it is the other feat. So it's a twofold thing with dramatic pieces. A lot dealing with those that where I was either dealing or close to death or domestic violence pieces like that. But whenever I'm doing like roles that aren't so heavy, it's just researching the things that make that character real. So like when I'm Anita Robinson on Saints and Sinners, I'm an investigative reporter. So I have to study cadences that are indicative of those of reporters. Like I can't talk to you like I talk to you now. I have to emphasize those 1, 2 words that matter
Right.
to blah 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 blah. You know, and it's
Exactly.
just
Uh-huh.
different. So just researching and researching in a way that makes the character real is super important as an actor. We don't like when you go out there and you're just acting just to act,
Hmm.
sometimes you get a lesser performance because that person hasn't really taken the time to put themselves in that real space. They're just acting
Right.
like what they feel that person would act like. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to truly becoming that person.
Mhm.
Right.
So I know I went all the way around, but that's what us actors
Oh,
do. It's like, oh, but they can this too.
yeah. No, I was gonna say that's perfect because that actually segues into my that actually segues into my next question.
Okay.
And that's, what do you prefer? Do you prefer to do serious roles, or are you more in tune with like your comedic side? Do you want to be funny? Like, what, which one do you prefer over the other, if you had a preference?
I would prefer a balance.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because I think in real life, you have both moments. So like when I get cast as a series regular, we're gonna just put that out in the universe. I hope that it's on a show where it actually has those real life roller coaster moments where we can be happy and silly in moments. And then,
Mhm.
I guess more of a dramedy type series I would appreciate as opposed to just always being so dramatic. But I'll take them both. I feel like I'm funny, but a lot of times I do just get picked in specific types of dramatic pieces. But you know, I I'm not as serious as those particular people might think I am.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I've just taking a look at some of your work and some of the shows and movies that you've been in. That you do play, you tend to play more serious, or like it's, I guess, the just the nature of it is serious, right? The subject matter is
Yeah.
serious. But seeing you away from the camera and just like being on your Instagram and you doing your own show, you have like this light. Your personality gives off this light where you're vibrant and you're smiling and
Oh,
you're happy.
thank
So
you.
that's why you're welcome. That's why I thought I'd ask, I guess.
Yeah, I'm really a happy person.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I said, for whatever reason, um, I guess I do those parts quite well, and they just have to see the other side eventually.
Okay.
And while we're
So,
talking about characters and roles, I know you get asked this question a lot, but which character is your favorite, or which TV role that you played was your favorite? And I think one time you said vampire, but it changes as the years go on. So
Yeah, it does. I wouldn't say that it's left my favorite yet, just because it was so different. Meaning different because of the non-polished aspect of the second, or second episode where I was like bloodied up. That was the fun part, of going from, okay, I'm all put together in this episode, but this episode I'm like, they're throwing dirt on me, they're throwing blood on me. This is awesome. I'm crawling through the dirt, I'm stabbing someone. Like those are things that just give you something else to play with, because a lot of times with actors, we want to play, and playing means that we have different levels of, or layers, if you will, within a character and or a story that allows us to do things that we wouldn't normally do. And so that's why Vampire Diaries was one of my favorite. And of course, Saints and Sinners was too, because she was just a little bit edgy. Like, she was really just all for the story. An investigative reporter is trying to, on the rise. And so she was just all about finding out the dirt, which was nice too. It wasn't super dramatic. She was just like almost the bad guy. And that was fun to play. But I've always enjoyed every aspect of the characters that I've been able to play, because I enjoy acting. So from the dramatic pieces, of course, they're heavy, but the fulfilling part is when people actually watch it and they give me their feedback via, because they take the time to look you up in the age of social media. It's like I get these random emails or inboxes and DMs from people that aren't even in the country, because they can see online, um, In Prison by Love, or this, The Last Time, or whatever, those different films that I've done that were independent but actually got, distributed. And so it's always just really fun to interact with them and for them to just say thank you for doing something that I guess allowed something that they could relate to be seen and have a, happy ending, if you will, as opposed to what may have happened in their lives. But it actually brought awareness to situations that are real to people. And that's really important to me too. So that's why I enjoy every aspect. I haven't truly had a role that I didn't enjoy. I guess the only thing that I don't enjoy is when I don't get to play a lot. Like if it's just like a smaller role. I mean, I appreciate those because those are all wins for us, getting in the room and being able to be booked for certain roles is always a win. But I like to get into the meat of it. Most most of us who've done stuff, we want to just be like totally a part of the story. So that's my thing.
Wow. Well, let me ask you, getting on to, that's your part about the work that you do. But I like to ask everybody, what's a fun fact about Reece that people don't know that you like to do?
That I like to do that people don't know?
It could be a hobby, it could be anything. Just a fun fact about you. Like something like some people might not know that you like poetry or you write poetry or you sing or you dance, Give us something
that's fun.
I mean,
Well, I mean, it might not be fun for them, but I mean, I enjoy like hiking. I used to live in LA, and so and that's like my second home, although I haven't been able to go since January of this year, which is driving me crazy. But yeah, I love hiking. I love the outdoors. I mean, I think people think, they have a perception of me being like this prissy girl who doesn't like to do certain things. But I love riding a bike on a trail or, roughing it out and hiking and seeing nature. Like those are fun things for me. And that doesn't alleviate you from being sweaty or dirty or stinky. Like you really have to be out there to do those things. So yeah, I enjoy those things. That's just one fun fact. But like I told you, I'm working on sharing more of me. That's what a piece of Reece is about. You get to find out how I met these people. Oh, that is your friend. It's not just somebody who you just kind of say hey to online. But that kind of piece of me is what I'm trying to share more of.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us, because I wouldn't have thought that just, that you like hiking.
I love, like, for some reason, this lighting is giving me like this nice tan look or something, at least on my side. I love to have a tan. Like right now, I do not. So I don't know where this hue of sun-kissed is coming from, but I love it. So hopefully it's coming through on your end too. But that's why I like being outside. Because I love vitamin D. It makes me happy. Like if it's cloudy like it can be, I have no energy. Like I literally have to make myself like do things when it's cloudy and it's not sunny out. Yeah. Which is why I love living in LA.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say there's been scientific studies on, the effects of how the sun, affect people and their mood. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. So
yeah. So that's why I love to do it. I mean, I love palm trees. I love all that stuff, but of course we don't have that here. So when I've gone to different trails here, I've loved the water. Like I love, like in my courtyard where I live, there's like a little waterfall, and that brings me life. Hearing water and the sun, and haven't been able to go to the pool. Like there's just so many things that COVID is really, really messing with me about. Like I need to. That's why I said I got to get booked as a series regular on a primetime show. I could even be the only Black person. I don't care. Like I can represent us, because that goes for at least 10 years. That's good money. It's just real,
Right.
So then I could buy my house with the pool in the backyard, and next time something crazy like this happens, I can still get some sun. Next to the pool.
It's coming for you. It's coming. I can see it coming for you.
I receive it. Thank you, guys.
Well, so I'm just taking a look at some of the projects that you've been involved with. I mean, this spans almost over a decade. I mean, some of the things that you have been in, and I'm sure you don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So what are some goals for the next couple of years as we, 2020 it's been a roller coaster so far, but what do you see, or what would you like to see for yourself in the next coming decade, or in this current decade, which would be?
like I said, more consistent work.
Mhm.
And that means because I know of my strengths as an actor, being afforded the opportunity to showcase it on a regular basis on a weekly show where I am one of the main characters, so that people can experience what it is that I'm most passionate about on a regular basis, and not just on television, but I would of course love to be in motion pictures, and aside from being in front of the camera, which is an inevitable thing for me, producing and directing is a big piece of what I have always been moved to do. I've done more um, producing than directing, but directing kind of on the side without the title. Does that make sense? So I've
Mhm.
offered my opinions during filming and helped shots, but never truly had the title or the credit of being a director, or even just the artistic ability to truly and freely help a project to move the way it should. So that's soon. My sister's been pushing me to write, so that's like a whole nother skill set that
Mhm.
again I'm able to take a script from someone and help develop it, but to actually start one on my own is a big feat, and one that I'll eventually get to a place of mastering that as well. I think that as an artist, it's really important for us to those of us that are truly passionate about it, to understand and master every aspect of it. It's much like being a CEO. Like,
Right.
if you don't know how it all runs, then how can you be a viable piece of the puzzle? So to say that I've produced, I've helped direct, I've acted, I know my lighting, I know my angles, I know cameras, I know, like, there's so many different things that a lot of actors don't even think about or even care about, because they just want to be in front of it.
Mhm.
But when I'm in front of it, I want it to look good. I want it to be something I can be proud of. And if for some reason you didn't do your research on an independent level, then you could possibly end up with footage you can't even use, no matter how good of an actor you are. Because if they can't hear you, then that's distracting. If they can't see you correctly, or if it's just not a good edit, where you're talking and they're showing your face more than they're showing mine, like, it's surely if it's necessary to get your expression. But
Mhm.
sometimes when they do that is because they didn't get enough shots to be able to show both. So sometimes to understand what a shot list is, all of that stuff is something that matters to me. And so that's what I see in my future, being
Okay.
more artistically in control of of my career as it relates to certain films that I do, or television. Even once I am, able to pitch a show or something in Hollywood and be the star of it, and all of that stuff is in my future. It's just
Mhm.
a matter of time and opportunity. So I'm excited. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm excited for you because I've seen you on a lot of red carpets, and you look like you could be a red carpet host. And I can see you doing some life coaching too. I can see that in your future too.
Really? Wow.
Saying,
I'm gonna be so busy.
yeah, but I see it in you. I really do.
Thank
Just my
you.
opinion.
I can have
What
a
I
talk
see.
show. Look, I can have a talk show too.
Yeah.
I'll do all of that. Sure.
Well, you basically have it.
I know.
You never know where a piece of Reese might go.
If the right person sees it, let's make it happen, right?
Yeah. Well, congrats.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
So I just kind of want to pick back up on the tail end of your answer, because you talked about, wearing multiple hats and,
Mhm.
being able to voice your opinion on things that, you know, you see, or things that, might suit the project better, from a different perspective. Do you believe that all women, or women of color specifically, in the entertainment business, do you think they should um, pretty much have that same skill set, or you know be more forward thinking when it comes to involving themselves in projects, or like having that aspect? Because I think that it's a very 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 wise thing of you to say. And I know personally I haven't really seen much of it from both male and female, demographics, period. But I'm just saying, like, do you think that's something that a lot of people should do, especially now with like Tyler Perry opening the studio in Georgia, and Georgia being the biggest place that they're shooting movies and doing a lot of film for, people of color? Is that something that you would, throw out there?
No, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's um, a great thing for all artists to consider.
Mm.
Primarily because we speak a lot, and I'm sure that all of you, or both of you, have heard how a lot of us have coined the phrase "don't wait, create." And unless you have an interest on both sides or have the information necessary or the wherewithal, the care to know what that's about and to do it, then on both sides of the coin, from male to female, and you're going to constantly be waiting on someone to give you an opportunity to showcase yourself, right? And so if you have the ability to collaborate with other artists and other, female writers or producers or directors, or or collaborate together, especially now, like you said, I think is a good time, because I feel like more than ever, even if it's a political move, Hollywood is going to want to hear more of our stories.
Mhm.
And who better to tell our stories than us? And a lot of times the craziness is, and has been for me, that it's very difficult I would say anywhere, but for males to truly embrace female opinions when they're at certain levels. So until we get to an understanding that we balance each other, like what you will see as a male will be totally different than what we see on screen and what we pay attention to or what we would say. So if you have a male writer, then you need to have a female producer that can help you to understand that I don't think that female would say that, prior to you getting the actor who's going to come in there and say, I don't think I should say that, or I don't feel comfortable
Right.
with that language because it sounds more like a dude. Now, if my character was supposed to be one that is more mannish, then that's something different. But a lot of times, until, like, even Tyler, I think, has to consult with women, and he's been very open with his producers that he picked for that show, Sisters. Like, some of their language and some of, the scenarios, he's actually reached out and has two black female producers that are brand new producers for the most part, and they're producers on that show, young girls, which is, I think, really dope that he's actually done that. But he also has, I think her name is Michelle Sneed, who's a black executive producer on this team now. So she's probably also telling him he needs to have a diverse producer team. But they're all, for the most part, black, aside from the Aru brothers, who, of course, are Latino. But again, like you said, I think it's just really important that we all understand our lane right now is opening on the creative side. So if we all use all of the knowledge that we've gained over the years and put it together, then we could have some really dope projects. If you think about the stars in Hollywood that step out and do it because they have the money to do it, if we did something and found some investors, we could do the same thing and tell our stories in a more authentic way.
I agree. I agree. And with
I can talk
everything
all
going on,
day, guys. Don't ask me any more questions if you don't want me to answer.
oh no, I
That's
agree
what
with
you're here
that. I
for.
really
Yeah,
do.
that's what you're
I
here
mean,
for.
I was like, wow, you made me go and think more deeper. So I
Okay,
was like,
well, good.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. Because
But
It's
while
an
we
awesome
talking,
question. Thank you.
oh yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the hard hitting
I
questions. Okay.
love those.
but while you in Atlanta, have you been doing protesting and going out and?
No, I haven't yet. I'm really not a crowd person. Mm, like I go to concerts, but I'm usually in a certain area, that's not so saturated. Even if I go to parties, I try to stay out of the crowds just because I just don't ever really feel that comfortable in that type of setting. So I've been working on that, but I've been voicing my opinion of what's going on as much as I can on my platform. You know, of course, to stay silent, of course, is not something that I'm wanting to do. It's just, you know, I'm considering all factors of my comfortability as I do it. So hopefully people can understand that it's not because I don't want to be a part of it, you know. Like just yesterday, I don't want to sound crazy or cliche, but you know, like I did my piece of Reece, but I wanted to make my statement. So I had on like a Black Lives Matters t-shirt, you know, and then every day I'm posting and reposting things to make sure people understand that this is where I stand, you know. And you know, being a biracial or multiracial person, but I identify with Black, of course. It's and that's what people see when they see me. It is my biggest voice to use my platform where certain people follow me and or that certain people watch me. And I think that, you know, it's kind of hard because you have so many of my peers who are protesting and taking photos. I, you know, I understand about being a part of history and wanting to capture moments where you were a part of history to be able to share that with your families. I'm just I'm not very photo oppy when it comes to certain situations. Does that make sense?
Oh,
It doesn't mean that I'm not genuine with it or that I feel they're not genuine with it, but I just feel like when I am truly moved or comfortable to be a part of it, and that's when you'll see me involve myself a little bit more actively as opposed to using my voice in the way that I've chosen to use it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, because it's not that, like I said, it's not that I don't want to be there. It's just personally, I am not comfortable in any crowds. And anybody who knows me, I guess that's another fun fact about Reece. I do not like crowds. I don't like like huge crowds. I can't deal with like certain amount. Like if it's in a space and it's just kind of crowded, I can deal with that for the most part. But when you get into this, when you're like in a sea of people, and I'm fairly short if I'm not wearing heels, and if I'm marching, I'm not wearing heels. So at 5'3", I would be like in the midst of a lot of people. So, you know, I plan to be a part of something soon that's more controlled and maybe a little bit more intimate. So what about the two of you? I could just pose that question. Have you guys been out in the protests?
I haven't been out there, and I'm more like you. Like right now with the COVID and everything, even though that's, you know, it's two separate, you know, I believe in the protesting and everything, but I just haven't been down there with, it's just so crowded and all the craziness that's been going on. I haven't been down there.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I'm closer to DC, and
Oh,
I haven't been to, because you know the mayor painted out Black Lives Matter on the street.
you haven't even been yet?
I haven't been yet, and the reason why I haven't been yet is because it's too much going on.
Yeah.
I'm used to just freely driving through DC, but I was there Sunday, and they had like a lot of streets blocked off. So for me, it's kind of hard to, like, not being a DC native, it's kind of hard for me to navigate through areas where, you know, we have like the National Guard has a Humvee just blocking off certain streets. And it's like, all right, well, I can't even get, you know what I mean? I can't even get to the action without parking and then having to walk a long way or whatever. Or
Exactly.
yeah, I was gonna say more importantly, like I was in Georgetown to be specific. And all of the stores are boarded up. Whatever store wasn't a restaurant was practically boarded up. And just to see it was surreal. But people, you know, it's a real thing. I mean, it's a valid feeling of pain that we have, and it, you know, it needs to be heard. So I haven't personally been protesting, but what I have been doing is donating. I feel like that's the least I can do. You know what I mean? Like, not being able to go out there and yes, and vote as well. Yes. And and you know, like like Cece said, with COVID-19, it's like it's still out there, and I don't want to put anyone else at risk. I mean, I can be selfish and do these things for a greater cause, but I also have to consider my loved ones and those around me who are in close quarters with me, throughout the week. So
Yeah.
but,
No, I agree. I mean, that's my biggest thing too. Like, I don't even remember how many weeks that we've been, quarantined or just dealing with this at this
I
point.
know.
But, anybody who does know me, and I talk about it all the time, that my family is everything to me. And I'm not comfortable with, outside of going to the grocery store for myself and my family, my parents, I have not let them leave the house since February, So it's like, if I were to take myself in those environments again, regardless of what people are trying to make you think that it's okay, or that, like you said, I don't want to be the one that exposed them to something, or even to feel like I possibly did, because there's no way to really know, of course.
right.
But, it's just better to be safe than sorry for certain people. And then some people just really are very moved, to do it. And I commend them. I think that, the time is now, because everyone is affected and has been affected in such a way that, like I said, I never would have thought, like, if you think about, like, overseas and all the countries that are, literally standing with us now, it's unreal. And I'm sure that this man, God bless his soul, George had no idea that day when he walked out that he was going to be, the reason and the fire, the match that lit the fire under all of this, by losing his life. It's unfortunate, but it's, like I said, I think it's going to be necessary for all of the other stories that we haven't, focused on over the years, and the people's lives that were lost, to finally maybe find some justice, because they're going, like I said, whether it's for political reasons or just to seem like they're not being prejudiced or racial, a lot of people will now be a little bit more compassionate, at least in their decision making, and lean more towards doing things in our favor, which is, again, going to work in that aspect of, okay, this person passed away years ago because of this situation. Now let's hear their story. Or this person was put in jail for no reason. Now let's really hear their story.
Yeah.
It's going to take time,
Yeah.
but at least now, like people say, they're listening or acknowledging that they hear us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth.
Yes.
I
And
agree.
yep.
I agree.
Absolutely. Especially, having the police just, kind of breaking down some of the tactics that they use, and, demilitarizing them as well. So I think that's on the right path, and the sooner the better. But, this is what we can do now is going to affect generations in the future. So I'm glad
Yeah.
that the steam is still rolling, you know what I mean? And that we still have things
Yeah.
to to put together. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to get emotional, so I'm just trying to keep myself together. But
Oh,
No, it's a lot.
yeah, it is. But I'm gonna move it on to something a little more lighthearted, so we
Okay.
can continue to share our smiles on the screen. I have a quick question for you, and that's
Okay.
mainly, what if you were to have let's just say a role came in, right? It's this big production, this movie that's coming through, right? And it just falls on your plate. Who would you like your ideal co-star to be in that movie?
I don't know. There's so many amazing actors out there that I would love to work with at every age. God. So many, I can't name it. There's your
Okay.
answer.
Okay. I could take that. That's fine for now.
Well, can you tell everybody where we can follow you at?
Okay, well, I made it easy because I feel like, marketing is a huge thing in what we do. And so you can reach me at Reece Odum on all social media platforms. That's ReeceOdum, no relation to Lamar. And there's nothing wrong with him. I just get tired of people changing my name to Odum. But I'm Reece Odum, ReeceOdum.
Okay, well, thanks, Reece.
I have a website that's www.reece-odum.com that, where people can just kind of see a little bit of my work, some pictures, fun stuff, and reach out to me if they want to collaborate.
Thanks. Well, I want to say congrats on your journey and thanks for interviewing with us today.
Of course, it was great to see you both. Thank you and stay safe.
We will, you too.
And you stay safe too.
I will. I'll be right here with my fresh flowers behind me.
Okay. All right. Well, have a happy Tuesday.
You too, guys. Take care.
Okay.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Boy, what you know? Rufus boy, let me love boy, what you know? Rufus boy, let me love.